the easiest, which is social work. I have a Master of Social Work degree from the University of Nebraska at Omaha, and I'm currently employed as a social worker with Hope Adoption and Family Services. And right now I work with youth and young adults ages about 13 to 22. Most of them have been adopted from the foster care system, so they've had quite an experience. And what I do is I facilitate this committee that gives them a platform to voice their life experiences to the broader adoption community and hopefully help them to make positive change in the community. So I've done all of the outreach for the program. Kind of me and one other social worker have built it from the ground up. So we've done all the outreach, gathering the committee members and working with them individually and in a group setting. And then we also facilitate the panels for them. So it's a supportive role, and we educate them on different issues based on where they're going to be speaking. And then it's really led by them. What do they want to do with the group? We help them get it done. So currently that's what I'm involved in, and my experience in social work before this job has been, I've worked at a law office, and I worked with older adults who needed help with all different sorts of legal issues, but mostly my job was to facilitate things like their families, if they needed help with the idea of moving into long-term care or a nursing facility type thing, I could help them with that. I could help them with guardianship issues, trying to work out when the attorney was their guardian and like a friend or a caretaker, a family member. I would help kind of facilitate the beginning of that process and how to kind of turn some of your life responsibilities over to someone else. And I do kind of have a passion for both ends of life, the kids and older adults. So right now I'm working with kids, but previously my experience was with older adults. And then I've also worked in mental health and substance abuse at the Eastern Nebraska Community Action Partnership. And I did mental health and substance abuse evaluations and reports to court. And then I provided crisis intervention services to clients who would come in and had a variety of issues going on and needed help with money for medications or housing, or they were in a violent relationship, things like that. They needed to be signed up for Medicaid, all those sorts of issues. We were somewhere they could come and get plenty of free counseling services and hooked up with all those types of things. So specific to employment and education, I guess some part of my job as a social worker is to educate, but I haven't worked in the field of education. And public housing, I guess, is something I've worked with in my career so far, just off and on with different clients. So when that's a need for a client, I certainly have been able to find the resources and get them hooked up with what's available. I've also have one person specifically in the area that I ended up helping who is still homeless and is waiting for housing in the St. Paul area, but he happened to ask my family for some money one day in downtown St. Paul, and ended up talking with a social worker, so I was able to help him more than he probably thought he was going to get help that day. So anyway, it's good to have the skill to know how to help someone in that situation, and to know he's on a much better track now. So.
Thank you. My question is somewhat related to the first one, and you kind of answered some of it, but maybe what training, if you could give an example of what training or life experience that you feel would be beneficial if you were appointed to serve on the Human Rights Commission?
Yeah, I think my training would fit this really well. Just my background with social work, some basic principles of social work. We have a code of ethics, and part of it is the belief in the dignity and worth of each person. So every person, not based on color or ethnicity or gender or sexual orientation. And then basic human rights principles are really ingrained into us. And then also another thing social workers are trained really well in that happens to be really useful in all areas of life is resources, which I've brought up before. Just being able to know what's available, how to connect people to those resources, really empower people to use what they can that's available to them. But I also really believe that the best resource we have are each other, and I think the most successful way to facilitate well-being in the community is to connect people with each other. So I would say a lot of my group work and then working on a campaign in the past really made me think about the community aspect of social work and kind of feel that interest. So I don't know if I answered your question exactly, but yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
What do you think would be the major challenges in reestablishing the Human Rights Commission in Maplewood?
Major challenges might be resources. I guess I don't know what exactly will be available as far as money or time commitment from staff or things like that. But I would guess that there is a good amount of interest and passionate people like me who would like to get something like this going. There's definitely a need for it. And so probably picking the right leaders with a really good variety of leadership skills and areas of expertise is important, but then, you know, really focusing all of that energy into one or, you know, a few different areas. So.
As a commissioner, you could be involved in facilitating issues that may arise between individuals and or businesses in the community regarding housing, employment, public accommodations, and or services. What experience and skills qualify you to perform this task?
Yeah, I think one of the things I like about my profession is every day is definitely a challenge, and a lot of times it's people-to-people challenges and sort of facilitating positive relationships, whether the two people are in front of me or I'm in more of a counseling role and I'm talking with one person about another relationship they have. That sort of thing goes on all the time. And in every place I've worked, there can be a lot of emotion involved and a lot of, you know, absolute basic needs involved, and there's always truth to every point of view. So I think my experience in that area, my training and education specifically aims at that exactly, and then my experience has definitely involved a lot of